It's totally okay. Live from New York City, it's Wearable Electronics' Becky Stern.
Hey, everybody. It's May 21st. Welcome to another fabulous episode of Wearable Electronics with me, Becky Stern. With me also is Mr. Lady Idiot himself, Phil. What is on today's show?
Today I'll be pressing some buttons and turning some knobs.
Ooh, you like buttons and knobs.
The code is narrative. 10% off Floor and Wearables. Expires tonight, 11:59 p.m.
You get a discount for watching, so you can get some electronics.
That's right. Wearable Wednesday.
We'll show you some cool DIY projects and debut a video.
Component of the week.
It will be a component and why we like it, and something you can make with it, maybe.
Tools we can't quit.
Yeah, I
try to
mean,
mix it up every week.
Yeah.
Love you, tools.
Another tool I grabbed from my desk and brought over here to show you.
And questions and answers. You got questions, Becky has answers.
These are questions from the internet I grabbed and to show you. So if you have questions during the show, you can ask them in the comments. I will save them for a future episode. And questions that are answered on the show make you eligible to win a prize. Today's prize is a Flora.
That's right.
All the questions answered today. Yeah.
All that and more on Wearable Electronics, Becky Stern.
Hooray.
All right, Becky, let's get this show going.
It's springtime.
The longest running, best and only Wearable Electronics show is about to begin.
Someday there'll be another one.
Yeah.
And then we won't be the best and only. We will just be the longest running and best.
We'll either be the most popular or the second most popular.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
Top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Today, what's going on is that we have a discount code for you in case you would like to buy some wearable electronics from Adafruit. Build some yourself. We've got, upwards of several million, bajillion tutorials for you to follow.
We're almost up to 500.
Million?
Yes. Yes, million. Every word million after breaker. Okay, roger that, million.
Million? Okay, in news this week, which is in the segment we like to call Wearable Wednesday. It's not stuff that only happen on Wednesday, but sometimes things we talk about on Wednesday about wearable things. Last Friday was the 256 conference, which was a conference all about gaming. It happened in Brooklyn. It was really fun. Here they had an arcade machine with their logo on it. And me and Kaho Abe, a classmate of mine from school, actually, were on this panel together, moderated by Jamin Warren, who is the founder of Killscreen Magazine. And here I am asking everyone in the audience if they had seen this particular episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
I was going to say, I don't remember that frame from Clockwork Orange. This was a Next Generation one.
Yeah,
where
it was.
I know which one. They play that game and they all get addicted to the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know exactly what that one is. And at the end, they're all trying to get Wesley to wear it, and Wesley wear it.
This is Wesley.
Yeah.
This is Wesley being forced to wear it, but then Wesley breaks everyone of the addiction. And I was kind of because this is a gaming conference, right? We were talking about wearable electronics, and neither Jamin nor Kaho had ever seen this episode, and hardly anyone in the audience had either, and they're all game developers.
Yeah.
It was like a mashup of Google Glass and Candy Crush, where everyone is playing it and it is on your face.
You could actually remake that with probably Oculus Rift now, and one of the what's the other device? I completely forget. It's the one where you wave your hand over it. It's not a Kinect. It was.
I don't remember what it's called.
You know what I'm talking
about.
Yeah. Something other.
Gesture controller.
Yeah, it's a gesture controller.
Yeah, but this
Leap
one
motion.
was
Leap motion.
The Leap Motion, but you could also maybe use the NeuroSky brainwave headset. That's more along the lines of what that game in Star Trek actually did. Was you were supposed to think about the ball going into the cone, and then the ball would go into the cone. And it would release some happy chemical in your brain.
Yeah.
And that. So the NeuroSky and the Google Glass, I think, mixed together could make this game. Anyway, that was fun. Speaking of speaking engagements, coming up at the end of September, I'm speaking at the Open Hardware Summit. I know we've announced it before,
You're going
but now
to Italy.
It's officially been announced. I'm going to Italy.
This is the first time you're there?
Micah Scott is going to Italy. Yeah, I've never been to Italy before.
That's nice.
Very excited.
The last time I was there, I met with the Arduino team. I went to the Arduino factory.
Yep.
I had, I think it was called Frito Misto. It's a bunch of deep fried stuff. Deep fried brain.
Yum.
Yep. That's tasty.
I will eat all the things.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of wearables going to where the world considers the fashion capital of the world besides the Adafruit headquarters in Soho.
Right.
Right, Milan, and it's
Right.
Rome, it's Italy, it's a thing. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to meeting lots of European makers who couldn't have made it out for previous Open Hardware Summits, and Maker Faire Rome is right after the summit too.
Yeah.
To meeting a lot of European makers who are working on a lot of this cool stuff, but who I haven't necessarily met yet. So that's pretty exciting. Addie Wagenknecht is chairing again. She's based in Austria, but travels a lot. So it's nice that there's going to be this kind of European flavor to the Open Hardware Summit this year.
We thought there was going to be a big announcement at Maker Faire, but maybe this Open Hardware Summit there's going to be a big announcement with wearables.
I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen before that. This might get, well, whatever.
I hope so.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of maker fairs.
Yeah, Maker Fairs. There's one every weekend these days now. Maker Fair Bay Area, the largest and longest running Maker Fair year after year, was last weekend at the San Mateo County Expo Center. And here is a pair of Firewalker sneakers that were spotted in the Spark Fun Flickr pool.
Yeah, I think you were taking that photo.
Or Spark Fun Flickr account or whatever. Yeah, thanks.
We were looking for all the Adafruit stuff, and I was scouring Flickr, and I saw these Flora-powered Firewalker sneakers, and I think it's even like they're Vans or something. It looks like even the same type of shoes.
They look like the same type of shoes, different colorway, but they do look like the same type of shoe.
Yeah.
So good job on those anonymous Firewalker sneakers. Your feet are famous now.
Yeah.
They look fabulous.
And this is a friend of ours.
Yeah, Lenore from Evil Mad Scientist Laboratories. She is wearing her lovely voltage regulator earrings with Phillips head screw posts. You can tell by her telltale flaming red manic panic. I saw, and there was a drone video from Maker Faire too, and you can see her, because of her flaming red hair.
Yeah.
This is a project by a grad student at Pratt here in New York City, out of Brooklyn actually, and these photos are taken in front of the Brooklyn Museum. It's just a cool wearable thesis project, and it's like much like this thing we saw a couple weeks ago that was like on the umbrella skirt on the subway. This is to like protect your personal space, and there's a funny video. If you go to the Adafruit site every Wednesday, we post up all kinds of projects like this, and
if you get scared, it like
if people walk in front of you, and they have all three of these models sitting on a bench, and then people walking in front, and they go whoop, and they really quickly cover your face, and then they retract again when the coast is clear. It's very fun. We're seeing a lot of wearables for pushing people away from you lately.
Yeah.
To protect your personal space.
It's all cyclical. Like this stuff brings us together in lots of ways, but it also requires us to say, back the heck up sometimes.
Right, and no, it's funny. Well, and we like all kinds of our social engagements. There's another cool social like conversation inflatable thing on the site too that I didn't grab the picture for. But anyway, here's a cool Flora project. It's these Superman wristbands that Leslie posted up. It's a Flora and a NeoPixel and a Flora accelerometer, and you can like make a gesture and it'll play a sound.
Yeah.
Like your superhero. So if you were working on your cosplay, or you just wanted something cool to make for your kids so they can like act out their Superman activities. That's another thing that Kaho was talking about at the conference last Friday a lot, was like adding gestural control to your like becoming the avatar in a game. And she works on like physical games you play that involve technology and wearable controllers. And if you could have your cosplay, outfit, and like you gesturally you go make a swoosh with your weapon and it makes the noise, like it helps you become the character, and that could be really fun for immersive gaming experiences or just really awesome cosplay.
I'm looking forward to the technology catching up with some of the virtual reality stuff. I built a VR rig and I was inside Second Life, and it was just a little too early, so there was a big delay on when I would look around and do stuff. So I was in the Second Life world on New Year's Eve, and I got sick, maybe because of like the drinking, but it was just, I got really dizzy.
Did you remember? I remember the rig. You have these glasses. Did you also have the beer helmet?
No beer helmet.
Because
that'd be
a nice accessory for Oculus Rift.
But I did have it set up, and it had a hacked mouse that had a gyroscope, so I could look wherever I looked around and stuff, because it was all new. This was almost 10 years ago. So that's cool.
Next, Oculus Rift will let you walk around in your Farmville.
Yeah.
Facebook joke. Ba-doom.
Yeah.
This week's project debut is a teardown of this little guy. I don't really want to spoil it too much because the video explains everything.
Yeah, you want to just go to the video?
Yeah, please.
What is this amazing thing? And if there's a video, that'd be great to roll it now.
Roll it now.
This is the Narrative Clip. It's a life logging camera you can wear almost anywhere. And Narrative's founder, Oscar Calmaru, sent us one so we could check it out. Unlike most of the wearable tech we've taken apart so far, this is the first gadget we've seen with a camera inside it. And that's super exciting to me. So I love having photos of my day, but I don't like experiencing my life through the lens of a camera or with my smartphone in front of my face. So the fact that this thing takes a picture every 30 seconds means I don't even have to think about it. And when I do, it has an accelerometer inside, and you can tap it to take a snapshot. You plug it in via USB to charge, and a companion desktop app slurps off the photos and sends them to the smartphone app, where you can play back image sequences like stop-motion videos. There's a lot going on in this small package, so let's check in with Lady Ada to take a closer look at the parts on the board.
First up, over here in the corner, we have a little camera. It's a camera, it's got a camera in it. These are actually really common little video and digital cameras. They're often OV something based from OmniVision, used in pretty much every single cell phone. So this is actually a very basic component. For taking video and photos though, for these cameras, they're raw devices, they're not buffered. So you do need to have a pretty hefty processor, which is why they probably went with the 1891 SAM here, which is an ARM core processor from Atmel. It's a pretty powerful processor, comes in a BGA package. You can even run Linux on these. Who knows though, maybe they're just, writing directly to it. This is sort of similar to the processor used in the Due. And then to go along with it, up here we have these two BGA chips. Now you see SanDisk on here. That gives you a big hint as to what this is. It's almost certainly a flash drive. It's sort of like a 4 gig flash chip, except it's soldered directly onto the PCB. And then over here, there's another chip, which looks kind of similar, same sort of square BGA package. It doesn't have a lot of markings on it, but because there's a flash disk and flash is a little slow and images can get really big, this is almost certainly onboard SRAM. This is sort of SRAM that's used by the processor, and often with the at SAM series, they'll actually have built-in integration, so you don't have to clock the RAM directly. It's handled all in hardware. You DMA buffer the image directly to the RAM, and then once the image is captured, then you can sort of slowly write it to the flash. And flash is a little sluggish, can take milliseconds to write. So those are these three major chips here, the processor, RAM, and flash. And you can probably look these up and figure out exactly what the values are. I'd say probably it's 4 to 8 gigabytes for the flash, maybe a megabyte or 2 for the SRAM. We have a couple more chips over here though. All the chips are on one side. Over here we have MX25. Now, whenever you see something that sort of starts with 25 and is especially a big chunky shape with eight pins, it's almost always an EEPROM or flash chip. Now this is separate than the flash that's used to store the image. This isn't going to be a big flash chip. It's a little flash chip, low cost, and this is usually used to store configuration data maybe for the chip or the actual program memory. Sometimes these big chips actually don't have flash on board. You buy a separate flash chip and that way you get to the exact right amount that you need. If you need more, you just buy a bigger chip. If you don't want to spend that much, you get a smaller chip. So this is flash, but this is probably configuration or program flash. And then over here, there is a little chip that says Cell Guide, ACLYS. Never heard of this company, so I actually looked up this part, and Cell Guide makes one chip GPS units. This is actually a GPS receiver. And once you know that's a GPS receiver, the rest of this board looks a lot more familiar. Here we have a little antenna management circuit, crystal. You usually need a really good crystal for GPS because it's to do time syncing with the signal. And then over here, you see a bunch of passives for a Balun or some sort of antenna matching, and then a little clip. And then on the package itself, you see the clip connects to an onboard antenna that is bound to the package. This little metal thing, it's glued on. This is the antenna, and you can see a little dot right there where the antenna meets the clip. So they built the GPS antenna into the package. That said, it's not a big GPS antenna, so chances are you have to be outside for a good minute or two to get a strong GPS fix. And then over here we have an LC07A. Look this up. This is actually a TI chip. It's just a 74 LVC series 07 hex buffer. This is used for probably level shifting or something. Maybe the Cell Guide runs at 1.8 volts or something, and then this chip runs at 3 volts. Or maybe it's the other way around. Basically, you have to combine a couple different voltages. An HC or LVC series from TI, it's like 25 cents, super cheap. And you have the board space for it, go for it. And then finally over here we see that C3H. That's our much-loved LIST 3DH accelerometer. This triple-axis accelerometer has been in every single wearable we've seen so far. It's like the most favorite of all. Hopefully you'll get an award for it. Nice work, ST, with your LIST 3DH series accelerometers. Apparently everyone really likes them. And on the back of the board, as usual, you'll see a lot of passives. These are all the filter caps. Almost all these are going to be capacitors, maybe a little helper chip here and there. And over here we've got the LTC3557 linear technology chip. They make really good power supplies. This all-in-one doodad is actually very nice. It's a LiPoly, so you get that LiPoly here, charger that uses USB, as well as a triple buck converter. So that's the narrative chip. So we can see there's a lot of stuff packed in here. You got main processor, Flash for the processor, big chunk of flash for storing images for long term, SRAM for buffering the images short term until they're pushed out to the flash, onboard GPS, as well as an antenna, level shifter, and then an accelerometer.
For this and many other teardowns, we used hand tools and the Adafruit USB microscope with its articulated stand. What wearable tech should we take apart next? Post your suggestions in the comments and catch up on our last teardown video by visiting our YouTube playlist and subscribe so you won't miss the next one.
Thank you, Virtual Becky. Back to you, Real Becky.
Ah! There's two of me.
Yeah.
So this is a really neat thing. I've actually been wearing it around for a while, and I've worn it longer than probably any of the wearables that we've torn down.
Is this more fun than Fitbits and...
Yeah, this is way more fun than Fitbit. Yeah. You know, I gotta say, you know how I usually call things bro tech? Like the smartwatch is too big and the thing is too broy and it's meant to be used by men. And if you look at the demographics of like Fitbit's early sales, like men adopt things earlier, and then now you can see Fitbit has more female customers than men. Yeah. But like, I was like, oh great, like this thing doesn't have too much inherent like broiness to it. I could put it anywhere. But then I was remembering what Oscar, the founder, looks like, and he's a 6'5" Swedish man, and he clips the thing to his crew neck T-shirt, like right here, and he gets photos of all of his friends, all of their faces, and I get photos of a lot of people's torsos.
Yeah.
Because I'm short, but that doesn't make it inherently.
You need to mount it on top of your head.
Right, but then it needs the camera to be aimed. Yeah. But it's neat, and you know, like not every single thing it puts to my phone is that useful. It takes a lot of pictures of my email, which are then uploaded to a server, and then spat down to my cell phone. So like, I don't know if it's all like if their database was hacked, like certain incriminating information about me could be on there.
Is it
privacy concern?
Is it high res? Can you read what's on the email?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
For sure, the pictures are 5 megapixel.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of cool. It's freaked out a couple of my friends, and like the guy at the food truck is like, I was wearing it as a necklace. And he's like, "Is that a camera?" And I'm like, "No, it's just a necklace." But like, it looks like a camera still.
There is this new period of time. So when headsets came out, everyone's like, "Oh, look, that person's crazy. They're talking to themselves."
Yeah.
Now there's a little bit of like, is that thing a camera on you? So I think we're in that period where either eventually it's going to be okay, or eventually it's going to be like, oh yeah, like no one does that because we all freaked out too much.
Sure. So some of my friends who are paranoid about it, I'll be talking to them in a group. It's mainly T and Colin. Yeah, we'll stand and then I'll be like chatting, and I'll notice both of them like looking at the lens of this thing, like making a funny face, because they want later for me to see on my phone a picture of them making a funny face, and they'll try to hold it long enough that this thing will catch it.
Yeah.
It's just a very funny social interaction where I'll look back at them and they're both like making a funny face at my... Anyway, cool. It's a neat thing. I like it. It's very robust, durable. The plastic's scratched a little bit. This is not an official review. They did supply us with these 2 narrative clips to take apart and wear and try out. So,
okay. All right.
So cool. Get one if you want. We don't carry them in the store, but if you would like the tools to take apart your own wearable electronics, you can use code NARRATIVE to get 10% off Flora and wearables.
If you're like, I don't want to spend money on that thing, but I'd like to get stuff in the Adafruit store, but only if there's a discount, we got that.
We got that. Or, if you want the USB microscope to check out your own electronics.
Component of the week.
It's an IR LED. Okay. There's a couple of them. We have single, high power, super bright IR LED, and we have them in a 25
When you say
pack.
IR, do you mean infrared?
I mean infrared.
Okay.
So that means a longer wavelength of light than red LEDs. It's below what you can see with your naked eye, but most camera sensors can still see infrared. Not the iPhone camera, that has an IR filter, but most other phone cameras and your digital SLR and point and shoot. We have IR LEDs in a 25 pack. They're sold in the TV Be Gone kit and in our IR camera here.
And that illuminates
in the dark. So it shines IR light on the scene, which isn't visible to the human eye. So at nighttime it's still dark. Then the camera is sensitive to IR, so it's like night vision, and a lot of security cameras use them. I use them in the TV Be Gone jacket. That's just regular TV Be Gone, mounted in the lapel of a jacket with the IR LEDs poking through. And then we made a Flora version that's a little bit more of an ornamental pin, and that's what it looks like without the ruffle. I wanted to show quickly this little prototype that I made that's kind of like this one, but with something that...
Let's go to the webcam.
Yeah, I made another one of these with the... Lady Ada made me these special surface mount IR LED, like transistor pixely type things, just as an experiment, and we don't know that they're great, so you might not see them in the future, so I wanted to show them to you now. You can see that
Try to focus on that too. Hold
on.
on.
The blurry is good because you can see the actual light shining, like see how they're flashing, because the webcam is sensitive to infrared. However, these surface mount LEDs don't have a lens on them, so the throw is they're kind of like scattered light, and the throw's not very far. So these are unfortunately not very effective as a TV beacon. However, it was a fun experiment, and I wanted to show you flashing IR LEDs on the overhead as part of our IR LED segment.
All right.
See, they're great for all kinds of stuff. You can use them as touchless communication. Check out our guide in the Adafruit Learning System.
Tools we very much would like to keep around.
The Panavice Junior. We love this thing. Precision, high quality machine device. Made in the USA, I think, right? Panavice. They're a sturdy base and a clampy clamp for PCBs. So you can solder your PCBs with ease with the Panavice.
One of the most useful things that we've been selling forever at Adafruit.
Thought you guys might like it.
Yeah, Lady Ada contacted Panavice when, I think it was like a very early product. It might be like product number like 30 or something.
Yeah, and I get asked all the time in videos, is a very common question. What is that thing you're using to clamp your circuit board? And it's better than a regular vise because the jaws are made out of plastic. They're not going to hurt your circuit board, and you can move it around your desk. Very sturdy base. You can even screw it to your desk if you want. I have a piece of fabric on the bottom of mine to make it like non-slip.
Okay.
For video stuff.
Questions and answers this week. What are you giving away?
A Flora. This Flora, not that Flora. A Flora that looks just like this.
Okay.
So if you want to be eligible to win the prize, you just have to ask a relevant wearable electronics question in the comments here, or on Twitter, or Google Plus, or Facebook, or whatever kind of
all those places.
UAV. Drop it off. And any question that I answer on the show will make you eligible for the giveaway. Today's question askers are in this bucket.
Okay, the first question is, greetings from Rocket City. Question, I am wanting to make a pair of NeoPixel cufflinks that can be used with multiple shirts. I think the best way is to wire them would be through a stranded wire. But since they will have to be put through a cufflink hole, I would like to put a small, quick disconnect in line between each cufflink and the gemma. Can you recommend a small connector for me to use? I have enjoyed watching the Adafruit shows.
Thank you. I think recently we added to the store a 3-wire JST connector. It's a black connector wire that's perfect for the 3 wires you will need to get to a NeoPixel. You could also use 3 of the conductive thread channels in our 4-channel conductive thread ribbon wire. Or you could use some regular ribbon cable or our premium jumper wires that are a ribbon cable with little pins mounted on the ends. You can just clip those off.
Okay. Great. And thank you for saying you enjoy the shows. We like doing them, but we like also hearing that you like us doing them. That's
Can't
what
wait
keeps
to
us
see
going.
your project.
Next up, what happens as your fingernails grow? How often must you reapply the tag?
Question about last week I did put an NFC
this is not
manicure.
a general question because I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go look it up, and like, actually, it's a protein thing, and your nails don't really grow after you dye. It's just a thing, and the skin actually comes back.
They do actually grow, and your hair grows too when you dye because you're still wasting protein apparently. Weird.
I read that that's not true.
That it just like recedes.
It's just the skin pulling back, and it looks.
But your
like
hair
it.
definitely grows.
I don't know about that one.
Your hair definitely grows.
I only looked at one probably not accurate Wikipedia article.
Poor John Patterson. We are not actually answering our question. He's asking about the NFC manicure, and if I put an RFID tag in my nails, what happens when my fingernail grows, and how often must you reapply the tag? The gel manicure lasts usually 2 weeks, 3 weeks if you're really stretching it. So you just soak it off the same way you remove the gel nail polish and scrape it. And then reapply, and then change the code and change your task in your phone to work with the new the new tag. Your password password changes every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Next up, question for the show: when washing any kinds of stainless steel thread, does it all corrode or rust? I want to ask before I would or would not ruin my wearables.
I'm going to ask you a question. Does your stainless steel silverware rust or corrode? No, it doesn't. So you're good. You can watch our video about washing wearable electronics where you see me put some stuff in the washing machine and wash the amplify in a sink full of soapy water. The stainless steel thread does not corrode. It's pretty cool. Some other components can get filled with water, which is not good for dunking.
Yeah.
Like microphones shouldn't be dunked in water. But we have a whole guide about washing your wearable electronics. But yeah, you're good. And a video. So if you're good. Your stainless steel thread is good. That's why we have the stainless steel instead of silver, because our hearts got broken by the silver thread too many times.
Yep. This is from Aaron. My question: to submit a project to be featured, the page says to post in the forum. Do you just post in the wearables category as a new post, or is there an ongoing area?
You can post it. Make a new post, Aaron. Go for it. Just be like, my cool wearables project, and then post some pictures. I would love to see it there. You could also, if you have more like of a step-by-step guide, you could consider posting it somewhere like Instructables. You can post pictures also directly into our Google Plus group on the wearable if you feel funny about putting in the forums, although it's totally fine to make a new topic with your project. The Google Plus group with the wearable electronics subject line is a good place to put it.
And if we see some really good projects, we often email people and say, would you like to do a learning guide on the Adafruit learning system? And maybe one day anyone will be able to just use it, but right now we want it very curated and have kind of the best of the best out there. And so always post your projects, and that's how a lot of people at Adafruit actually get jobs.
Yeah, and we're also, I think sometimes there's on the contact us page, there's a submit a cool thing for the blog tab, and that emails our customer support. Which
Last question.
Lots of
here
ways.
we go. This is from Andrew Scott. I asked this last week as well, but here we go. Can I use the Adafruit Bluefruit LE with Flora to make LED alert indicator for my smartphone, or should I use something different?
I think you could do this, Andrew Scott. We don't have a tutorial yet using the Bluefruit LE with Flora. However, if you look at Phil B's Guggenhat project that uses an Arduino Micro with the LE module, which is very similar in hardware to the Flora, so you might be able to work with that sample code as a starting place. And that sounds like a good project. So you could be like green light for I have a text message.
So, before we give away the prize, Becky, how do people ask questions?
You can put them in the comments. That's the easiest way. Usually I'll go back to the previous weeks.
And you'll look at this video and you'll be like, that's good questions for next week.
And I screenshot it, boop, and then put it in the folder.
Google Plus.
Sometimes Google Plus.
Sometimes in the forums.
Sometimes in the forums. Sometimes Twitter.
Twitter's
hardly ever Facebook, but you could put them there. I'd look.
Yeah, we look.
And
it's just like that empty room that no one talks about. Right? No, don't go up there.
Soon you'll be able to have an immersive 3D Farmville experience.
Yeah. Me.
You can ask. You can leave a question in my physical Farmville mailbox on your Oculus Rift inside Facebook, and then for that day. I pick the questions that were just answered. I cut them up on a piece of paper, and then I put them in this
do it
bin marked things, and then I pick one, and they win the Flora. That's how this works, and then we send it to you in the mail. John Peterson, you win the Flora. Congratulations.
What was his question?
He asked the question about how do I replace my RFID manicure.
Okay, great.
So you win a Flora. Please contact support@adafruit.com to claim your prize, and I will also send you a message on YouTube so you don't miss out.
Okay.
And if you wanted the Flora and you didn't get it, just ask another question.
All right.
You can ask as many as you want.
A reminder before we go, the code is narrative 10% off. Flora Wearables category expires 11:50 p.m. through 9 p.m.
So you can get your own Flora if you didn't win. And you can get 10% off.
Yeah. Okay. That's it with Wearable Electronics this week. Lots of cool stuff on the blog. Check it out. Tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Show and Tell. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ask an Engineer. We have a little bit of wearable stuff in there because now we have a show. So now I just pick one or two things.
Yeah.
And so check it out.
Wednesday, the day of entertainment here at Adafruit.
Yeah. Okay.
Entertainment for you. Every day is entertainment for us.
Yeah. So we'll see everybody next week.
Thanks for watching. Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Same time, same station.
Zoom.
Bye.